YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and I have an updated 2019 NFL mock draft for you guys today. 2 rounds. First 2-round mock draft we've done this year. Really enjoyed making this one. Lots of interesting scenarios. So we're going to go pick by pick in depth about the player, about the fit. Should be fun. Right before we get into it, check out the links in the description, and they're also on your screen. Check out our Twitter. Check out our Instagram. Lots of good stuff on there that have to do with the NFL, the draft, always talking on there. So please follow us. We have merch available, link in the description. So check that out. And our subscriber goal is 20K. Please click that button if you're new. Clicking the like button would be much appreciated as well. Towards the end of the video, I'll talk how you can get access to my prospect rankings early. Some of you are still waiting on a link to that. I need some of your emails. We'll talk about how to do that all at the end. I'm just ready to get into this mock here. So, first 8 picks, we'll break them down. Maybe a little bit of a surprise at the top there. The Cardinals taking Josh Allen, outside linebacker, Kentucky. Everyone seems to think it's Nick Bosa, and majority of the people think Nick Bosa is the best player in the draft. He can be. I think he's strictly a 4-3 defensive end, where Josh Allen can play either, but he fits better as a 3-4 outside linebacker. The Cardinals are expected to switch that. Josh Allen with Chandler Jones on the outside makes a lot of sense to me. Luckily, Chandler Jones can play. He has experience playing both. So Josh Allen, too. It's not like Nick Bosa. If he's clearly the favorite, the best player in the draft, they would take him, and they're going to build around that. But you could build around Josh Allen, too, especially where the NFL's heading. The more athletic guys are winning. He's not just a speed rusher. He can cover. He can stop the run. He's very strong. Usually these types of guys don't have the strength or are undersized. He has the measurables. They're all there, and he's a freak athlete. Makes too much sense there. With possibly their defense changing, we need a little more info on that. But this is what I expect. I don't expect, with already the pieces they have, I don't expect them to get a guy, change the defense, and build around that guy. I think they get a guy that's just as good and fits more, if that makes sense. Nick Bosa, too good to pass for the Niners. They keep drafting D linemen. It's probably pretty annoying, but I mean, you don't really get the chance to get a guy like Bosa. It's more of a guarantee than a guy like Solomon Thomas, who I think fits more of a 3-4 end or maybe a D tackle. So it's an interesting situation there, for the Niners. They have talent, but I think they have some guys that fit a 3-4 and some guys fit a 4-3. But you get Nick Bosa in there, he instantly could play at the DN spot for you. Jets take Quinnen Williams. Those top 3 guys are clearly the best 3 guys in the draft. Quinnen Williams can play nose. He can play D tackle. He can play D end in a 3-4. The Jets are expected to switch to a 4-3, a little bit of an opposite of the Cardinals there. With Greg Williams coming in there, he's experienced running the 4-3 defense. Quinnen Williams can play D tackle. He can give you D looks. He's dominant against double teams. If there's only one guy on him, he's even more dominant, obviously. Get after the quarterback, can stop the run at a high level. Gotta love Quinnen Williams. Gotta love all these guys. The defense talent's unreal. Raiders take Ed Oliver. This is a tough pick. It was hard for me to put a guy in the spot here. I think Mayock and Gruden will really like Ed Oliver. He's talented. He's going to test very well at the combine. He's a freak athlete. I think he can play multiple positions as well. I think for the Raiders defense, I think he plays D tackle. So it could be Oliver, could be Rashawn Gary, could be Cleveland Farrell. Could be a number of things here. I went with Ed Oliver, and then the Bucs I had taking Rashawn Gary, defensive end, Michigan. This makes a lot of sense to me. Rashawn Gary, another one of those guys. He can play D tackle. He can play 3-4 end. He can play 4-3 end. 3-4, 4-3, name it, he can fit it. I prefer him as a 3-4 DN, and the Bucs are expected to switch to that with Todd Bowles in there. So I think it makes a lot of sense. Him on the end, you have Vita Vea at nose tackle. I think that makes so much sense. Bucs defense has been struggling. This is the right direction, the right fit for some of your players, and you got to continue to build that defense in the DB unit. And Gary makes a lot of sense to me. Makes a lot of sense. Perfect fit to me. The Giants go Juwan Taylor, offensive lineman, Florida. Big riser for me. And sounds like he's a big riser around, from scouts and from teams. He's an instant starter at right tackle. I think he can play either tackle spot. I think he can play guard. He's dominant. Very dominant. Definitely on the rise. And the Giants, they could go quarterback. And there's a group of people that say they have to go quarterback. There's a group of people that say they should go line, wait for the quarterback. There's really no wrong answer here, but I prefer that they do this, and this is what right now is what I think they can do. I think the left side of the line's okay. Right side of the line needs some help. Juwan Taylor, instant start at the right tackle position. You can put him at guard if you want to, but I'm saying build around that future quarterback. Eli, I don't think is as bad as everyone thinks. I don't know if he's going to go out and win a Super Bowl or anything, but get this roster ready so you're able to trade up and get that better quarterback in the future draft next year, 2 years from now. I think it makes a lot of sense. You also can get a steal at some point in this draft. Maybe if the guy falls in the second or third round, you can get him. Maybe he can play too. Learn from Eli a little bit. But I think you get the rest of the roster ready so you don't have that many needs and you're able to trade up and get a better quarterback. Is Haskins or Locke capable of being a solid quarterback? Yes. Are they worthy of the 6th pick? Probably not. But I do like Taylor a lot. I think they will like him a lot. Get ready for that future quarterback. Pick 7. I do think it's still a little early for the quarterbacks here, but I think the Jags, maybe they expect Haskins gone at 6, so they're able to take him here. I think they have a real shot at Nick Foles, and I still think they can take Haskins. The Jags really don't have too many needs. The offensive line was beat up last year. They could use another one, but once it's healthy, I think it's better. And once you get a quarterback that's a little better under pressure, it's much better. You don't have you could use a receiver. They don't have huge needs. They were just in the AFC Championship 2 years ago. It's not like they can't get back there. Stay healthy, get the quarterback. I think even if you get Foles, I think Haskins is a guy that can develop very nicely, learning behind Foles. But if you don't, Haskins can play right away. I am a little worried about him if he's under pressure. But I think the Jags offensive line, I don't think it's as bad as people think, but it's got to stay healthy. But, you could grab some guy. I love the offensive line class. The depth is unreal. So I think you can get another guy here. We'll see if I have them getting somebody in the second round. Lions going Clelin Ferrell, defensive end Clemson. Starting to be a sleeper because no one's talking about him anymore. He was dominant the whole career at Clemson. They were the best team. Big reason was because of guys like Clelin Ferrell. I think he fits right in the DN spot. I think Patricia and him work well together. I think he fits. He's already got the talent. He's missing that athletic ability, but he's so strong and so smart. Strong hands. And he goes against the best linemen in college football too. He's a sleeper all of a sudden. A lot of these Clemson guys are. They were by far the best team this year. Surprised us all, but they really were. And the reason is for some of these guys like Clelin Ferrell. So I like him going to Lions at pick 8. I think he can go as high as pick 4, honestly. People are sleeping. Maybe teams start taking more athletic guys, but there's still some teams that will like the guys like Clelin Ferrell, and there's a good reason why. Next 8 picks, I got DK Metcalf going to the Bills. Sounds like he is the number 1 receiver for most of the NFL, and even though he's my number 2 receiver at the moment, there's a lot to like here, and I can see why. He's a freak athlete, freak size, very strong, great hands. He can run routes. We just don't see a big route tree. When you watch him, it's mainly just stay on the sideline, but you can see he can move, he can get open. Great handwork, great footwork. He's got it all. This receiver class, love this receiver. It might be one of the best of all time. People know how good it is, but they're not really talking about that. It is very good. It's deep. People all agree that it's deep. They don't think there's elite talent, though. I think there's a couple guys that can be elite talent. DK Metcalf with Josh Allen makes so much sense to me. That would be fun to watch. The Broncos go Drew Lock, quarterback, Missouri. I think he's a perfect fit. I think he's a John Elway guy. I think he's right there with Haskins at the top. If you look at my prospect rankings, you see who I have split up there. But Drew Lock to the Broncos makes a lot of sense. There's even people I see, people saying they're guaranteeing this pick, whether they trade up for him or not. We'll see if it happens. It is a good fit, so that would be the reason. Bengals go Devin White, linebacker, LSU. They need a linebacker, could use a quarterback in the future. Don't think they go quarterback here. But Devin White's a plug-and-play guy, high-motor guy. Very exciting to watch. Packers go Ja'Kai Polite, edge rusher, Florida. Big riser on my board. The guy's a freak athlete, knows how to get to the quarterback, has very solid moves. Could work on the run game a little bit, but he's today's NFL's edge rusher, big riser. Another Florida guy, big riser. Packers need that pass rusher. They're missing that. And Polite brings something different to their defense, but he fits in at the outside linebacker spot on their defense right away. Dolphins going with Kyler Murray, quarterback, Oklahoma. Probably the one everyone's been looking for here. Where's Kyler Murray going to go? He's tough. He's very tough to find a spot. I think the Dolphins make a lot of sense. There's people out there, I think the Broncos or the Redskins will get them. I don't think they do it. I would be very surprised if those, if the front office guys and the coaching staff really would want Kyler Murray. He can play. He can sling the ball. He's smart. He can move. He brings a different game to the NFL game right now, and that's where we're headed. It's different. It's hard to game plan against. We kind of today, just a little bit ago, we got, he said he's firmly focused on being an NFL quarterback. Love to see that, because before I was like kind of back and forth, like, what do I think about him? Which team will take a chance on him? I don't really like his attitude, but now good to go. He's going to the combine. He's firmly focused on it. Like to see it. The Dolphins, they're going to build up that defense. They already got some good talent there, so why not change it up a little bit with a different type of game? That's how you're going to throw teams off. It makes a lot of sense to me. I also can see, I didn't do any trades in this. We'll get to the trade mocks, in the future. But I can also see a team trading up. Maybe a team that's already picked. I already had picking before this. Maybe it's the Dolphins. Maybe the Dolphins can't pass on some good defense talent, and they trade back in, and they get 2 first-rounders. I can see that happening for Kyler Murray. Falcons taking Jeffrey Simmons, D-tackle, Mississippi State. They could use a D-tackle or 2. Grady Jarrett's a free agent. If they get him back, they need another one beside him. Jeffrey Simmons not going to the combine because of off-the-field issues. In the past, teams aren't too worried about him. He's a plug-and-play guy they've been looking for next to Grady Jarrett. He wouldn't be Grady Jarrett's spot, even though there's 2 D-tackles. Jeffrey Simmons is more your nose in Dan Quinn's defense. I think it makes a lot of sense here. Bring him in there if he's sitting there at pick 14. Jonah Williams, offensive lineman, Alabama, to the Redskins. Redskins need a quarterback. Don't think there's one worthy of this pick. They need a receiver pretty bad too. With Jonah Williams sitting there, I think they take him because, on paper the Redskins have very good offensive linemen, but they keep getting hurt. But they also could use a left guard to plug and play right away. I think Jonah Williams can play tackle and guard high level. I think he goes and plays guard. Obviously, tackle is a little more important than guard. If one of those tackles gets hurt again, Jonah Williams can slide out and play tackle. It makes a lot of sense to me. They're always worried about their O-line. I think that's what's causing injuries or some, I think they would have won a lot of games if Alex Smith would have stayed in. But add more to the offensive line. No hurry to get a quarterback, I don't think, because, maybe Alex Smith can be back in another year. Maybe you can wait and get a better one then. Don't overdraft a quarterback here. Get an offensive lineman. If there's a top defensive player or a receiver, go ahead and get them. They don't value receivers super high, I don't think. So even though they should, it's a little unlikely. Jonah Williams is very good too. Panthers take Montez Sweat, edge rusher, Mississippi State. A lot of upside for Montez Sweat, and he can play right away too. He has good production. Freak guy. I think the Panthers could want to work with him. They definitely need a couple edge rushers. They were really lacking in the sack department, the quarterback pressure department last year. Guy like Sweat, a couple other guys could fit too. But I think too good to pass here. Teams are going to want to work with this guy because he can be something else. A lot of upside. Moving on, Browns take Christian Wilkins, D-tackle, Clemson. Probably too good to pass at this point. The Browns they don't really need anything, honestly. It's crazy to say. Yeah, they can get better in a lot of spots, but they have plenty of depth and players that can play for the future in each spot. Christian Wilkins, though, is an upgrade at defensive tackle. The Vikings go Cody Ford. Yeah, if he falls here, it's a no-brainer. He can play tackle or guard for you right away. The Vikings definitely need upgrades at the offensive line position. Titans going to N'Keal Harry, wide receiver, Arizona State. They've been needing a couple receivers for a long time. Somebody to pair with Corey Davis. N'Keal Harry, honestly, I'm a big fan of N'Keal Harry. He can do it all from the size he has. Is unreal. I think people are starting to sleep on it. Honestly, I think he might be the Titans' #1 receiver if he comes in there. Corey Davis is pretty impressive, and he's going to get better, but maybe not instantly, but Harry is that good, I think. So him and Corey Davis, you finally got that good duo for Mariota. Mariota needs to stay healthy, obviously, but, it makes sense to me. 19 would be a steal. 20, TJ Hawkinson, tight end from Iowa to the Steelers. Could use a linebacker too. Hawkinson's better than the 20th overall pick. I've been talking about him for a while. People have been ripping me about having him in the first round. Now, other so-called experts are starting to see how good he is, and I've been talking about this guy for a while. He's a Steelers guy. If he somehow falls to here, which that's what happened in this, I think there's other really good talent too, so it could happen. But, I know the Steelers got a couple tight ends that can play, but they don't have that legit #1 that can really do it all. Hawkinson can do it all. He can run the ball, he can block, he can catch the ball, run after the catch. Steelers, Big Ben would love to have a guy like this. You may be losing Antonio Brown as another weapon, so you have Juju and James Washington to step up. You get a tight end in there. It throws other teams off, brings a different look. Makes so much sense to me. I think he fits in that offense as well perfectly. Seahawks go Greedy Williams, corner, LSU. Yeah, I think Greedy is really the only one. Maybe Byron Murphy that can go way higher in this. That can sneak in the top 10. But the corner class isn't as good. There's some depth. I don't think it's as good as people think it is. Greedy's not perfect. He's definitely good. He's definitely very athletic. He's a playmaker, can be a playmaker. I think this is more of the corners' range down here. I know people may be surprised by that, but look at the talent ahead of them too. And we saw it was a different year for cornerbacks. Corners used to be so important. Like there was a big argument last year. Who's the best corner? It was a big argument. Not even quarterbacks, no other position. Who's the best corner? Is it Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Rhodes, Casey Hayward? And now this year, Stephon Gilmore, and was clearly the best corner. You could throw Patrick Peterson in there too for last year and this year. And it really wasn't the greatest cornerback play. It was kind of the more athletic guys were winning, and it's because of the different offensive looks. That's really what it is. So I think corners will drop here a little bit. Greedy has a chance to go higher in this. I'm not ruling it out, but Seahawks, maybe it's too good to pass at pick 21. Ravens take Marquise Brown, wide receiver, Oklahoma. Could potentially be the first or second receiver off the board, but he could be the third as well. I think the top three guys I had go. I'm pretty confident those will be the three guys. I don't really know the order. I'm pretty sure DK Metcalf. I'm banking on him being the first one, but you never know with the receivers. It's always a coin flip there. But makes a lot of sense with Lamar Jackson. The Ravens have been lacking that receiver, and Marquise Brown would be perfect in that offense. Texans go Dalton Risner, offensive lineman, Kansas State, can play tackle or guard day one. Nasty blocker, fun watching him. Not a lot of offensive linemen that really stand out, but Dalton Risner's one of them. Texans definitely need a couple offensive linemen. The Raiders go Brian Burns, defense end, Florida State. Great tape from Brian Burns. He may drop because I think there's teams may think he's undersized, but great tape. Great bend on the outside. He has some great moves too. He's athletic too, but he should be because he's a little undersized. But I think he can go in this range. The tape may say top 15, top 10 even. But I think this is more of his range. The Raiders would love to have him here. So far they have Burns and Ed Oliver. That would be fun. It'd be very fun. So we Burns, Arden Key on the outside, Maurice Hurst, and Ed Oliver on the inside. Man, scary. Good for the future there. Next 8 picks, last 8 picks before the second round. Byron Murphy to the Eagles. I think I've had this for a while here. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think he fits the Eagles. They definitely need defensive back depth. So he comes in there. Kelvin Harmon to the Colts. I think it's a fit. I do like Akeem Butler to the Colts as well. But Harmon's getting more first round talk. Very balanced receiver, can do it all, really. So I think the Colts will like him to pair with T.Y. Hilton. Raiders go Josh Jacobs, running back, Alabama. I think really the only running back that goes in the first round. So they got 2 defensive guys on. They got their starting running back of the future here. Could go receiver, a lot off the board at this point, and it's a very good receiver class, very deep, so you can kind of wait till the early second round pick. Devin Bush, I think he's way better than the 28th overall player. A guy flies around the field, makes a bunch of plays. I wouldn't rule out if he goes ahead of Devin White. It most likely would be Devin White, but they're that close, I think, in my opinion. But he could drop a little bit. But the Chargers here, they definitely need linebackers, instant starter there. Chiefs go Trayvon Mullen, corner, Clemson. I think he's more of a fit. Some of you are probably wondering where another corner is. We'll get to in a little bit. I think Mullen's more of a fit for the Chiefs, and I think he's more of a fit for today's NFL too. He's athletic, and he can actually come up and press. So he actually be physical too for being an athletic corner, playmaker as well. I think he fits the Chiefs right away. Deonte Thompson, safety, Alabama, kind of known as the best safety in football. I was blown away by him earlier in the year, for most of the year for Alabama this year. And as soon as they played the better competition at the end, I didn't really like what I saw. So, what are we going to get from him? Earlier in the year, most of the year, top 10 player. And then at the end of the year, I wouldn't take him in the first round. But you put those together, more evaluating to be done. It's tough. The Packers need a safety pretty bad, though. He definitely will play right away for them year one. 31, the Rams take Dexter Lawrence, D-tackle Clemson. Too good to pass. I think you play the nose for him inside of Donald, and that could be dominant. Makes a lot of sense. And the Patriots go Deebo Samuel, wide receiver from South Carolina. Deebo can do it all too. Like Kelvin Harmon. They both can do it all. Maybe they aren't elite. Look at DK Metcalf and N'Keal Harry. They're pretty. As a prospect, maybe they're elite at going up and catching the ball, stuff like that with their size. No, neither of these guys are really elite in anything, but they do everything good. They don't have weaknesses. And I think that's a Patriots type of guy. I think Samuel can be pretty dominant in that Patriots offense. And look at their receivers, too. Really, the only one they have under contract is Edelman after this, once this free agency. Right now, actually. Free agency's coming right now. So the only one they have under contract, Edelman, I don't really count Josh Gordon at this point. Don't know what's going on with him. I'm sure they'll re-sign somebody, but they need a few receivers and some that can play. You know, the offense couldn't really get going because Edelman was the only guy open and making a play on the ball. You know, talking about receivers, Gronk played very well. But that makes a lot of sense to me there at 32. So there's a first round. We're going in the second round. Let's take a look at the first 8 picks in the second round. I got the Cardinals going Andre Dillard, offensive lineman, Washington State. I think he plays tackle. Could play guard, but I think he'll play tackle at the next level. They need offensive line help, but with the defense talent at the top, too good to pass at the first overall pick. Go Josh Allen, Andre Dillard. I think Dillard could go first round. Colts take DeAndre Baker, corner, Georgia. And that's the guy that everyone's probably wondering where he was in the first round. I think Baker slides. I'm not saying he doesn't go first round. I'm not guaranteeing he goes second. I think he slides. You know, I like Baker. He's very good. But I think there's a couple things that the NFL won't like. And that's he's physical. You know, he's physical, but he almost plays like he's this big corner. He's really not the biggest corner, but he plays like it. You know, some teams will like it. Some teams won't. He's also more of a zone guy. He kind of needs to stay on his side. He can press, which you can do in zone, but he's not going to go chase the guy across the field because he's athletic, doesn't really have the speed, so he's kind of limited is what I'm saying. You know, he's a very good player. We saw how Georgia struggled without him. He's very dominant when he's on the field, but I think he's kind of limited. But again, he's very talented, so I don't know if the Colts can pass on him at this point. They could use another corner. You know, I think Baker can go first round. I think he's very talented, but I think since he's limited, I think he can fall. I think, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he fell a little bit. So I think teams will like more of those athletic corners more. Raiders go Akeem Butler, wide receiver, Iowa State. I think Akeem Butler's dominant. You know, the only thing I don't like about him is him coming back to the ball. You know, it's really kind of goes into his quickness. He has speed. You know, he's huge and he has speed. Quickness, quick feet. Need to be developed a little more. He needs to work on a little more, but he's very dominant, and I think Gruden will like him on the Raiders there. Niners go A.J. Brown, wide receiver, Ole Miss. He fits perfectly, I think, with the Niners offense. That makes a lot of sense. You know, future with him and Dante Pettis. You know, I think that would be perfect. They could definitely use a receiver in there. Giants get their quarterback here. They go Daniel Jones, quarterback, Duke. He could go first round. There was some talk about him a little bit in the top 10. I think teams will be scared about him. Kind of reminds me of, not particularly his play exactly, maybe not far off, but it reminds me of the draft with, I was talking about Deshaun Kaiser. You know, that draft with Trubisky went first, then it was Watson and Mahomes, Watson. You know, those three guys were clearly going first round. But Kaiser got a lot of first round talk too. But he ended up going second round. It really wasn't much of a discussion for him to go first when it was all said and done. I think something similar can happen here with a quarterback in this draft, and the one that stands out is Daniel Jones. You know, I think first round's too high to take him, too much of a risk. You know, he could be solid. He needs some time to develop. But if he's sitting here with the 37th overall pick for the Giants, I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, maybe Eli still starts day one. We will see. The Jags getting a lineman here with Greg Little from Ole Miss. They could use some O-line help. I don't know if it's as big of a need as people think, but it still is somewhat of a need. Bucks go Taylor Rapp, safety, Washington, who I just watched yesterday, actually, and he's a big riser on my board. Very fun to watch. I think he should be a first rounder. He really can do it all at the safety position. Very good at play recognition, can fly around the field, can make plays deep into secondary as well. Todd Bowles, I think, will love him. I think he will love him for this defense. Makes a lot of sense. You know, I think other people may be wondering will they take another safety like Abrams or Adderley here. I think Rapp's more. I like Rapp a little more, and I think he's more of a fit for this defense, and they definitely need a safety of the future. It makes so much sense to me there. Yanni Kajust, offensive lineman, West Virginia. The Bills definitely need another O-lineman, maybe on the right side, right tackle. Kajust could go first round. He's very fun to watch, stands out in tape. He definitely can go first round. Not getting a whole bunch of talk right now, so maybe early second round. The Bills getting him and DK Metcalf. That's a draft right there. Next 8 picks. Julian Love, corner from Notre Dame to the Broncos. You know, like I said, there's no elite corners, but there's some good ones here. They're pretty deep because Julian Love could go first round, but he also can go early second. That's where I got him going to the Broncos. They need a quarterback and they need cornerbacks because don't have a lot of depth there, and they could use a guy I like Love, pass deflection machine, really good at attacking the ball. Bengals go Will Grier, quarterback, West Virginia. I like Grier on the Bengals, kind of always did. First round's way too early. Grier does need some time to sit and watch. I'm not a big fan of drafting a quarterback in the first couple rounds and making him sit and just watch. But in this situation, I like it. Keep Dalton in there. There were some rumors about Tannehill. I don't like that. Get Grier in there, watch behind Dalton. I think it makes a lot of sense. Lions go Noah Fant, tight end, Iowa. He could sneak in the first. But I think most likely goes second because the other defensive talent, other talent in general, receivers, offensive line. Fant, more receiving tight end. Will he be able to be on the field every down? He can be, maybe not early. Lions are missing that athleticism from the tight end position. We've seen them try to go tight ends, and I just remember that Thanksgiving game against the Bears. Was it Roberts? I think Fant would make much more sense for plays like that. So they definitely can go tight end here in this draft, and I think Fant's what they need really here, and I think they can get him with the 43rd. Maybe they have to trade up a little bit. We'll see. In my scenario, he drops to 43. Packers go Mac Wilson. I couldn't believe I still had Mac Wilson on the board, but that's what happens. Once the draft comes along, can't believe this guy, and that guy, they're still left. So Mac Wilson can play, high motor guy. Packers, they do have some linebackers that can play, but Mac Wilson's an upgrade, and they need to upgrade at the defensive spot. So I had him getting a pass rusher, safety, and a linebacker, which was Ja'Kai Polite, Deonte Thompson, Mac Wilson, 2 Alabama guys with an elite pass rush prospect, Ja'Kai Polite. That's a game changer. Year one, too. Not just long term. Year one. The Packers have potential because they drafted very well in defense last year. They have potential to turn this defense around. Hopefully it can come quick because Rodgers may be running out of time, but he can still play at a high level. Falcons take Charles Omenihu, defensive lineman, Texas. Big riser, too. Could sneak in the first round. You may say, well, first he played 3-4 DN for Texas. You may say we already had a D lineman. You already gave us D lineman with Jeffrey Simmons. I think Jeffrey Simmons, couple scenarios here that make a lot of sense. Jeffrey Simmons is going to play that nose tackle spot next to Grady Jarrett. Let's say Grady Jarrett's not back. Omenihu can take Grady Jarrett's spot easily, and he can fit right in there, more the athletic defense tackle. Let's say they get Grady Jarrett back. Dan Quinn, what I love, Gus Bradley and Dan Quinn used to coach, they were in Seattle in the past. They kind of invented that Leo defense. And what Gus Bradley runs with the Chargers right now. It's what Melvin Ingram is, kind of an outside linebacker, can play defensive end at the same time, but he's more off the ball. While on the opposite side, it's Bosa at the end spot. So I think Omenihu, and I think Dan Quinn, that's what he's trying to do with Vic Beasley. He's trying to make him be that guy. There's rumors they could trade Vic Beasley. I don't know if it happens. I think he's still very gifted. So I think we'll see what happens with McKinley, but I think Tack McKinley could be your DN on one side. I think you plug Jeffrey Simmons at your nose tackle. Let's say you get Grady Jarrett back. He's the D tackle. But you also, and Grady Jarrett can play that spot too, and Omenihu could be a great rotation guy there. I think he can play the DN spot in front of Vic Beasley, or play the DN spot where McKinley's at, or if you lose Grady Jarrett, can play the D tackle spot. I thought that made a lot of sense to get Simmons and Omenihu in there. Both fit, and it's what they've been looking for a long time. Redskins need a safety, Nasir Adderley, safety from Delaware, playmaker guy, could go first round, very athletic. Big-time playmaker, a little undersized. I think that can scare some teams. I never agree with the whole undersized thing, but, it's how it is. It still scares some teams. So he could drop a little bit. The Redskins wouldn't pass on him. Panthers take Garrett Bradbury, offensive lineman, NC State, can play center, can play guard. I think he's their future center. If he's here, it makes a lot of sense. He can go a little higher in this. Dolphins go Jerry Tillery, defensive lineman, Notre Dame. They can play D tackle for them right away. He also can play DN in the 3-4, but they play a 4-3. See if they stick to that. Pretty much too good to pass at this point, too. Tillery could be a first rounder. I like him a lot. Can do multiple different things on the D line. Next 8. Browns go Mecole Hardman, wide receiver, Georgia. Not getting enough talk either. This guy flies. He can fly around the field, can run any route. You can give him a screen pass. He can go deep, run the deep post. Seen him do that a lot. Take slants to the house. Not getting talked about enough. Very athletic. I think what the Browns could use. A couple free agent receivers, see if they re-sign them. But I think he makes a lot of sense with Baker Mayfield. Vikings go Chris Lindstrom, offensive lineman, Boston College. So they had him taking Cody Ford and Lindstrom. They both can play guard right away, or Ford can play tackle and Lindstrom can play guard right away. Either way, the Vikings need a lot of offensive linemen. They could pick some up in free agency. We'll have to wait and see. But Lindstrom has some first-round talk, so if he's sitting here, I think they just can't pass. Titans go Christian Miller, edge rusher from Alabama. I love this fit. Christian Miller with Vrabel. Love this fit. And they got Rashaan Evans last year, too. Miller was kind of new to being that outside linebacker, that edge rusher in a 3-4, and he played pretty darn well for the limited snaps that he's had in his career there. So I think he's a sleeper. Not enough talk from Christian Miller. I think he'll be a riser. He can go earlier in this as we get closer to the draft. So look out for that name right there. Remember, they were missing him in the national championship too, and they missed him, let me tell you. So I think him with Harold Landry for the future. You got Rashaan Evans, Jaylen Brown on the inside. You got Woodyard too, can definitely still play. They got a lot of linebackers, but they need outside linebackers. Miller, I think he fits that defense perfectly. Trey Lamar, linebacker from Clemson, can play inside for the Steelers right away. Could be a guy like Tavon Coney too. I was kind of back and forth. Lamar being a little more athletic than Coney could appeal more, but I do like Coney. Eagles, a couple free agents at the pass rush position, so they can go Zimenez, who has a very fun tape. I think he can sneak in the end of the first round too. Very athletic, and he's got some good size, pretty strong. So I think you pair him with Barnett for the future. Maybe Sweat can stay healthy. Zimenez, a lot of upside, big upside guy. Very fun here for the Texans. They got 2 picks in a row. That's going to be a lot of fun. I got him going David Montgomery, running back, Iowa State. I think is the second best running back in this class. Very elusive, can do a lot in the open field too. The Texans kind of need a running back of the future. I know they got Foreman, they got Miller. Blue's going to be a free agent. I think Montgomery right away might be your best running back. So you got to start looking for that. A guy to pair with that offense. And then Chauncey Gardner-Johnson makes too much sense here. Too much. Tyrann Mathieu's gonna go elsewhere, I think. He's gonna get paid. He's gonna get overpaid. He's still a good player. He's gonna get overpaid. The Texans could use a safety. They can use a corner. They can use that slot guy. That is Tyrann Mathieu. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson checks all those boxes. He can play any of those, but he's most likely going to be a Tyrann Mathieu type player. He's a playmaker, difference maker in a lot of games. If you watch that Michigan Bowl game, big time playmaker in that game. One of my favorite players in the draft. He's very fun to watch. So the Texans, that makes so much sense to me. Makes so much sense. Draymond Jones, another guy that can sneak in the first round, the D-line from Ohio State. He's very talented, very athletic for an interior D-line. I think you can convert him. We saw a couple of the Ohio State guys last year get converted. You saw Tyquan Lewis getting converted to the end, and you got Jalen Holmes starting to convert to the D-tackle. I think Draymond Jones is the same situation. I think he can go D-tackle or D-end. It's a guy that the Patriots will like to work with there. Definitely can fit their defense. I think he'll play inside for them. Next, the last 8 picks in my 2-round mock. Eagles take Elijah Holyfield, running back, Georgia. One of my favorite players in the draft. Maybe my guy, because couple reasons. No one's talking about him. He's damn good, and he's mean, nasty. He makes you love the game of football. He'll run you over, and he can run outside you too. He can make you miss. He can move. He's not the fastest back, but he can make you move. And he was a backup at Georgia, and I think that's why people are sleeping on him. He's a beast. Definitely one of the biggest sleepers in this draft. Eagles. This is an Eagles running back right here. They need a guy like this. I don't know if they really believe in taking a running back in the first round, but I think they get a guy like Holyfield in the second. Makes a lot of sense. Cowboys go Irv Smith Jr., tight end, Alabama. This makes a lot of sense to me, too. The Cowboys don't have a bunch of huge needs. They could go with another D lineman, interior, DN maybe, too. And they have a couple tight ends that can play. We saw a couple step up, but they don't have a guy like Irv Smith Jr., who I think is the 3rd best tight end in this class. They don't have a guy like that. Need another weapon for downfield. Irv Smith's very athletic, too, and he can block. So it makes a lot of sense here. I think they'll like him. Colts go Jalen Ferguson, edge rusher from LA Tech. A lot of upside here. He has very good tape. But I think this is more of his range. The Colts can use another guy out there that I think he can fit at their end spot. Chargers go Titus Howard, offense lineman, Alabama State. I think he can play day one right tackle for them. They got a pretty solid line. Could use some guys here and there. I think he can play right tackle for him. He's got a bright future, too. Chiefs go Jonathan Abrams, safety from Mississippi State. Very rangy safety. He go from sideline to sideline like that. Very good at reading plays. I had him taking a corner now, and now a safety. That's what they need. Saints go Lonnie Johnson Jr., corner from Kentucky. Long physical corner, can move too. Very impressive in the Senior Bowl, especially in the one-on-one drills. Saints really don't have a glaring need, but they could use a corner. That's really what stood out to me the most. They could use another receiver. That was kind of a sleeper for me. If Ingram leaves, they can use another replacement for Ingram. I think Holyfield could be that guy if he's there. They definitely can use a tight end. Tight end might be their biggest need, actually. I think if Irv Smith is there, I think they grab him. I don't know if they can afford to trade up again, but I think they could use a tight end, not one worthy of this pick with 3 off the board. I think Lonnie Johnson makes a lot of sense in that defense. I think They've had some corners that could play, and Eli Apple stepped up too, but they definitely can use another one. I like Johnson in that defense. Chiefs take Devin Singletary, running back, FAU. Fun guy to watch, very elusive, can move, knows how to make people miss. I think he fits the Chiefs offense. I think he's a good pair with Damian Williams. And in the Patriots, taking Ryan Finley, quarterback, NC State. I think maybe the sleeper quarterback of the draft. I think he's better than some of the guys I had go ahead of him, but this is more of a predictive pick. I've been saying for years, Finley looks like a future Patriots quarterback, so I'm sticking to it. I think they can get him here. I think he has potential to go earlier. But I also thought about Paris Campbell here. Paris Campbell definitely could be a second rounder, very talented. Could work on, technique, routes a little bit. But I had him here, they could grab 2 receivers this early with 3 picks in the first 2 rounds because, like I said, really the only one under contract right now is Edelman. I don't really count Josh Gordon. But so they could grab a couple, but Ryan Finley, I'm sticking to. I've been saying for a couple years, this guy looks like a future Patriots quarterback, and I'm sticking to that. We'll see. I think he's very underrated. I was watching some Calvin Harmon the other day, and I thought, even though Calvin Harmon's exciting, he's fun, he's possibly a first-round guy like I am here, Finley stood out more to me. He had some perfect balls to him. Good duo there from NC State. A lot of NC State guys gone already. But that's my 2-round mock. That's what I got. Let me know what you think. Got a couple guys, like I talked about, Paris Campbell could sneak in there. A lot of guys can sneak in here, so we can talk more about that on Twitter if you want, in the comments, whatever. I talked about there's some people that have access to my prospect rankings early and how you get access. There's some people still waiting on to get it. If you want to read this here. Basically, during our live stream, a lot of you have been very generous and donated, so we really appreciate that, so I wanted to give you something here. Basically, there was 2 ways to donate. If you donate through Super Chat, I cannot contact you. I know your username, but somehow I cannot contact you. So I know who you are. I just need your email or your Twitter so I can DM you or email you. People that donated through the link in the description, you made it very easy. It just gives me your email, so I email you back. So a lot of you should have got that email. Some of you that donated deserve this. I'm trying to get it to you, but I need your email. So maybe if you comment on this video, if you're one of those guys that donated and did not receive that email or tweet or DM, reply with your email. I know who you are. I know your name, so with the username you use to donate, please comment that, and I know if you donate or not, so I can send you that your way. Give me your email, give me your Twitter, one of the two. If you're looking to get this early, eventually it'll be available way closer to the draft. Link in the description. And then people that donate a significant amount, there's a couple of you out there. We really, really appreciate you. You may have more content coming to you in the near future. Stuff that you get before videos. Right now you got the prospect rankings. Maybe it's a big board. Something along those lines in the near future. So we really appreciate everyone's support. You helped our channel grow. And those prospect rankings, I update them every day pretty much. Every time I'm watching somebody new. It's a big database, more guys to be added to. So it's a lot of fun here. That's going to do it, though. We got plenty more draft and free agency talk coming throughout the week, throughout the whole offseason. We got free agency predictions coming. Can't wait for those. A lot of fun. But that's going to do it. Thanks for everyone's support. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.